inward and word. The guy that like looks into things and tries to put a different lens onto life. If you've seen any of my previous episodes, you know I'm a guy that doesn't hold back any punches. Tell it how I see it, call it how I see it, right? And I try to put the perspective of conservatism, because you know turns out, right, we aren't just people living singular lives. These lives are cyclic, and they're interconnected in many different ways, right? We can't just live from the perspective of our own side, own self perspectives. We have to take on new perspectives, and constantly be engaging with the dominant narrative in a way where it strengthens our own narrative, helps create more clarity, right? That's kind of key here. So I've been delving into different social media channels, mostly Twitter, because that's the one that I've been most applicably able to access, right, within like my capabilities. I don't necessarily like to watch videos. I prefer to just read a little bit, and so that's what that Twitter has been that place for me. If you're following any kind of relevant news relating society right now, then you probably are all aware of the circumstances surrounding Mr. Kanye, West. Circumstances that probably, for all good reason, need to be accounted for, and the circumstances need to be addressed. There's a lot of unknowns, but we're presently engaging with this issue. I'm just curious because I'm at this point, I'm just thinking, wow. When I see someone upset, I'm like, it's hard for me to even understand or to fathom the complexities of those emotions, because I know they're emotions that cross upon, expand upon all contexts, and really test the inner dimensions of our humanity. And nobody said easy things are pleasant things are easy, or unpleasant things are hard, right? There's no specific planning for engaging in the dialogues. But I think, I'm not a proponent of any one side, clearly, because I don't necessarily have any kind of ethnical designation. If you haven't noticed, I'm like a son child, right? Mom's Dominican, dad African American. We got some historical issues going down, so I'm presently aware of my own disposition, how I have no designation. Right? All I really have, and I've had this since I was, let's say, maybe 20. I've had this idea that there is something more meaningful happening than just my own desires, my own ideas around what should happen for myself. There's more meaning there. And so I didn't necessarily know what that meant. I don't think I was articulating that to the best of my ability for dominant culture, dominant narrative types. And I think Twitter has enabled me with more roundabout ways of thinking through these ideas, without it just being like me just fixating on this, my own ability to create messaging. There's meaning there. And so what I've been able to endure are all the setbacks of starting off on a social media platform with no following, with no support, with no ideas, identity, just basicness. I've been able to endure that, right? Because we all know it's one of those things where it makes you just kind of like feel desperate and desolate. Like, you know, it's like you go out, it's like you join a social media platform, all of a sudden you're like in the middle of the ocean, deep in, and you're just a little tiny baby ship, and then you see all these great giant ships going past, and they're like having cruises and yachts and all this shit, and you're just like a little tugboat, whatever the fuck. It's kind of how it feels. So my little boat, the little engine that could, has endured. The brand has endured. The channel has endured, right? And so, but circumstantially, if you think about these systems thinking, things of this nature, building brands and brand etiquette, and being accommodating to the public, and giving them what they want, it's not the easiest thing. It's not always about the money. It's not always about the culture. It's not always about the circumstance. Right? And so what Twitter has helped me identify is that the ideas that necessarily go viral aren't the ones that you would necessarily get along with. They're the ones that everyone else is happy to accept. Right? So mostly this channel, or just me blogging, is gonna mostly just be me expounding on these ideas. Inward and word means inwardness, and the word, which has some kind of biblical reference. So that's interesting. I've been working on this project for around 2 years now. It's been mostly in this hyperbolic state, the state of inception. I think at this point, if you look back into the footage, if you go back and check all the series and the circumstances that we investigated, then you'll see there is this interconnectivity there. So I know a lot of people are going to think, oh, John Michael, you're always trying to help everybody. When like you are tired and you got to go to work like 5 minutes and shit like that. You got mental health concerns. Like just like focus on yourself. A lot of people say that. And guess what? This is me focusing on myself. If I turn a blind eye to dysfunction in society, I'm only setting myself up for failure. Right? That's what it means to be conscientious. If you don't do the weeding in your garden, you'll be overran with weeds. Right? And so it's your own nature. It's your own nature that you have to do the maintenance on, right? And so that's exactly what this is. The feedback is definitely welcome and appreciated. Everybody can use a little feedback. So we're going to start this day off with just a little ideation around what it really means to engage with controversial ideas. Inward.